Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Mocking Gariana Free and it's Wednesday, which means a new video. And today we are going to be doing part 4 of ranking dances done to the same songs on the next step. And I believe this might be the last part. I think there's only like 2 songs that I've potentially not done, but I can't think of them right now. But I have got 10 in today's video, and if you can think of any more that have been done only by the next step as a studio, so not their rival teams or anything, and as a full dance, so not counting little like 30-second snippets where you can hear the song in the background or anything like that, or auditions, I'm not including auditions, leave them down below, and if we get another 10 I'll happily do a part 5, but this is part 4 and I hope you enjoy the video. So the first one that we have is Now You've Got the Best from season 6, and this is done by the boys hip hop group, the girls hip hop group, and the regionals hip hop group. And first and foremost, I'm just going to say I love all of them, and it was very, very hard deciding what placements they should all have.
Yeah, we're dangerous and we're working it out, cause we give it all we got. Say what? Ain't nobody better than we, and we bringing the heat, got it done to a T. Say what? And we gon' get started right now, like 1, 2, 3, let's go.
But in third place, I have put the boys group. I think it started really, really intense, but I will say I think some of the boys hit the choreo harder than others. I liked things like the floss and the hair flip. I thought they were very charismatic and it just had a nice vibe to it. But ultimately, it's just not a memorable routine for me in comparison to the other 2, which are more stuck in my head and more memorable. I will say though, the energy stayed 100% for me, and I also like how even though Ozzy can't do some moves, like I think everyone does a back tuck and Ozzy can't do that, he had a move instead that complemented the rest of the boys, and it didn't make him look weak or anything, and made it look like it was just meant to happen. So I do like that. Above them though, I have then put the girls group, because I feel like the girls were more in my mind when I was thinking of this song. I can do the choreo, like I've watched it that many times. I really enjoy it. I love the bit where it's like 1, 2, 3 and then round, and then they did the walk, and then they did the hair flip. I feel like the dynamism and the musicality was great. I really think Summer and Jackie's facials were perfect. Also Piper had great facials. They all put the energy into it. The one section I don't like though is when they do the back walkovers, because I think it slows the energy down and the pace, and it doesn't really fit with the rest of the choreography. But generally, in comparison to the boys, I feel like the girls group was more of a surprise and had more of an impact on me, because the boys was kind of just doing, well, most of them are hip hop dancers, so it wasn't like a big wow moment, whereas the girls, I never seen Summer be like that in a dance. Jackie, we see it, but every time Jackie does that kind of style, it like makes me all worthy. Same with Piper, Kenzie too, and just, I don't know, it had more of an impact on me. When we get started, that's when it's a party. But in first place, I then have the regionals dance, because I think the regionals dance overall, because of the vibe and the performance quality and the fact they have both the boys and the girls, it makes it the best dance for me. I really like Finn's clapping section, where everyone slowly joins in. I think that's really cool. Oh, this tutting section as well, I really, really liked. I thought that was very clean. We then have Animals, which is done by Ozzy and Izzy's duet in season 7 and the season 6 mid-season opening routine.
Just let loose like you're in the wild. You and me, we can be animals.
So in second place, I've put Ozzy and Izzy's duet, because I think it was good. I think Izzy outshined Ozzy on her energy and how hard she hit the movements, and also just having good performance quality and stage presence. I feel for me, I didn't really feel the chemistry between them. It felt a lot like 2 solos put together to make a duet that wasn't really a cohesive duet, because I didn't feel a chemistry or a bond between them. It's different to how I see other sibling relationships. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just their natural chemistry in real life, or maybe it's just because I don't really see Ozzy and Izzy as being this like fantastic sibling relationship that I love, because I don't. And in first place, I have the mid-season routine, because I really like the layout line to start with. And even though the routine was more recreational, like if they did it in a competition, it probably wouldn't win, because it repeats the same section multiple times. When the girls dance and the boys are just improvising at the back. When the boys are dancing, the girls are just improvising in the back. But I like the charismatic feel of it. I think it's really fun, and I just think that everyone has the same energy. Everyone is just feeling the same kind of emotions. It's just a good dance for me. I like it. It's a happy dance. We then have Coming Home, which was done by James doing a solo in season 3, and the season 3 opening routine. Was it the opening routine? Dun 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 dun. Yes, it was the opening routine.
Nothing came for free, so I'm coming home.
So in second place, I have James's solo, which first and foremost, I love. I wish James had gotten more solos on the show because I'm pretty sure that's his only proper one that he's had. The bit where he goes backwards and then back up and then backwards again and back up, that's the best bit for me. I love it. I love seeing James just being James, having fun, being totally relaxed and cool. You can just tell it's all effortless for him. But in comparison to the season 3 opening routine, I just think that has more energy. The sections and the formations I love. Yeah, it's just better for me overall. We then have Main Attraction, which was done by Summer, A-Troop and Lily, and then A-Troop for their mid-season, after the mid-season dance.
Don't wanna break, but what I got, but some things can't be bought.
So in third place, I have Summer's solo, and this has recently been released as an extended dance. And I will say the extended dance is a lot better than the one that they showed in the show. I'm pretty sure in the show all she does is a turn and then looks at the ceiling, but there's a lot of things in the extended routine that I wish they'd shown instead. The bit where Summer's on the floor and I think she does a helicopter, she goes round basically into a press-up position. I'm pretty sure, trying to remember it in my mind right now, but just a lot of the elements in it I like to see from Summer. I think overall Summer could have done a lot more floor work in season 7 and had it actually be shown. I think overall her technique is also good, but it's quite a forgettable solo for me. I didn't really feel anything or connect with her. I don't think the song suited her mood in the dance either, and it's all just pretty average for Summer. Even though her technique and movement quality was good, it lacked energy. It's third. Second place, I have A-Troop's routine that they do with Lily, because I think it's better than Summer's because of the energy in it, and overall I think it suits the song better, and overall we are ranking dances done to the same song, and I think this A-Troop routine with Lily was better for the song. I also think that when Lily and Ozzy do their bits together, there are bits that are very high energy and they look great. Then there are other sections that look like they're lacking a little bit. I also don't like the bit at the beginning. I think it's cheesy where they're going around and they're like not saying anything and they're just making like facial expressions to Lily. It's weird for me. Obviously they know the music's going to be on in the background, but I think it just would have been better if they were ad-libbing and just speaking. But in first place I have the mid-season routine, which was done to Main Attraction. We know that. I really like the formations in this dance. There's one thing that really did stand out for me and I liked it. I like the bit where the girls go around the boys in the circle and then they lean back on them. I think Piper in particular kills this routine. The bit where she's doing the 3 clicks and then she goes in and stuff. Do you know one thing I would really like if there is a season 8, I would really like Piper and Rochelle to do a duet. Okay, so next we have Flying, which was obviously done by Jiley Internationals, but also Riley does a solo in the off season before season 5. So second place I have Riley's solo, and first off, her outfit, yes, love it. I wish that, well, if Riley had been in season 5 as a dancer or whatever, that should have been her outfit. Yes, I loved it. Personally, I really would have liked an extended version of the dance without the flashbacks, like how with Noah they released a flashback version and a non-flashback version. I would have liked that for Riley because I think it looks like a really good solo. It's very, very Riley, and I love Riley's contemporary style. I feel like it could have had more intensity though, if anything, because it was very emotive and recreational, but it was overall very nice for a leaving solo, a goodbye solo. So yeah, not many complaints, but if it was like in a competition or something, it could have been a lot more intense and harder for Riley. But yes, I liked it. So first place, that obviously means that the season 3 internationals duet that Jiley did to Flying is first. It's really good, it's beautiful, but one thing I am questioning is whether it would have been as good for an audience member as it was for TV, because I think the camera angles accounted for why we love it so much. Camera angles are very powerful in dance. I did a whole dissertation on how camera angles can accentuate choreographic decisions. So for example, when Riley's doing like the backwards rolls and the camera's following her, I don't know if that would have looked as impressive from a front angle just watching static than it did when the camera moved with her and things like cutting between her and James. It made it look like there were 2 people coming together, whereas if you were watching it from a front angle, it would have just been them kind of dancing separate. and I don't know whether that would have had the same effect on me, but from what we did see, I think it is better than Riley's solo, and it is just very emotional. I couldn't say that word then. Very emotional, beautiful, and also the musicality. I think they both executed the dance very well. So then we have Let's Go, which is done by both Michelle and Rochelle. So Rochelle did her solo in season 3 to this song, and Michelle did her solo in season 4.
Dance with me tonight. Let's go.
In second place, I have Michelle's solo that she does. She does this when she's competing against Piper, and I think it's very good energy wise, and it's very intense. Like, I'd be scared to go against Michelle, honestly, in season 4. But Michelle just wanted to be on that team and on that stage. She wasn't going to take no for an answer. I think he had a good range in choreographic decisions as well. It had a nice blend with her tricks, and also she had good facials. At times I think it might have been a bit rushed, and it could have afforded to slow down in parts, but I think honestly for this, it obviously was an audition to try and get that final place in the quintet, so I think she did a great job. First place though is Rochelle, and honestly when I first thought of the two dances, I was going to put Michelle first because I thought that Rochelle's was just all tricks, but it isn't just all tricks, which I like. I think Rochelle is very good at transitioning between her movements in this routine, and also the turn section, I thought it was too long originally, but I actually think that it fits well with the music because she varies the types of turns that she does. I think if she just continued to do the same turn, it would have gotten a bit stale and lacked something, but because it gradually builds up and then she immediately goes from the turns into another intense movement, it works well. Her technique was beautiful, the intensity was there, and I really feel like she pushed herself. So then we have Ahead of Our Time, which was the season 6 duets, and that's the only time it was used, I'm pretty sure. So these were all done to try and get the duet at regionals, and Miss Angela was choosing who it would be.
Right here and only right now. So sublime, so ahead of our time.
So in bottom position, I have got Lily and Ozzy. Now, honestly, I don't feel like it was the most clean or in unison when it was meant to be. I didn't feel any chemistry. It felt like Lily was just dancing for herself and they were both doing separate solos. The lifts I didn't feel like were great either, really. And yeah, it just felt a little bit disorganised, but I guess that was what it was meant to be because Lily didn't really want to work with anyone. She just wanted to get the spot and Miss Angela was going to choose her regardless. So it kind of suited the story, but I feel like it wasn't a strong duet anyway. So one above Lily and Ozzy, I then have Summer and Kenzie. I also feel like this was two solos at times. Like, even though it was a duet and they did a lot of unison, it didn't feel like it was a duet. It just felt like they were doing the same dance, just next to each other. It also felt at times like it was Summer's duet and not Summer and Kenzie's duet. So I think the choreo could have matched Kenzie a bit better and been more of a fusion like a duet is supposed to be. And I'm pretty sure that Kenzie was never in the foreground of the duet either. It was always Summer in front of her. So then we have Winnie and Kingston, and I really like the tutting section that Winnie and Kingston do. I think their tutting section was the best out of everybody, so that's my personal opinion. And also, just like I said for someone else's, I feel like at times it did look like two solos by each other. I don't know that Winnie stands around for a little bit while Kingston's doing something. I feel like they could have just choreographed Winnie to do something in that section, even if it was exactly the same as Kingston. I don't remember what part it was though, so I don't know whether Winnie could do it. I do think though there wasn't much chemistry between them when they danced, and I think it was a missed opportunity to have Ozzy and Winnie do a duet together and have that heighten why Winnie likes Ozzy so much, and then have Kingston and Lily be paired together, because then that would obviously have significance for them getting together in season 7. Like, even if they didn't know it back then, that would be like a nice throwback, like, oh yeah, we've danced together before and whatever, and then they get to do a duet at nationals, or they're at least prepping to do one. We then have Finn and Rochelle. I feel like Finn's opening musicality was very good, his moves were sharp, and so were Rochelle's. I think the lifts and the tutting section are also quite strong, but overall I think the difficulty level of the choreo, aside from the tricks, isn't as high as those ranked above them, and the tutting section was also slightly out of time. But honestly, I just, like, I don't remember if I've even said it before, I feel like Rochelle outshined Finn because the moves were very Rochelle. I didn't feel like it was a duet that came together. I feel like it was just an opportunity for Rochelle to show her talent, and that's not what you do in a duet. You kind of have to work together, so it wasn't my favourite, honestly, but analysing them against everybody else's, I think for the song. It matched very nicely. They had all the elements there and it was performed well. I just think it was too much Rochelle and not enough Finn. They could have done more stuff together and Finn could have shown more of his ability. We then have Jackie and Noah, and I think that it was nice that they slowly eased into the song just like the music does. I think they matched it the best out of everybody. It was also danced like a duet, and that's what it was meant to be. They complemented each other. If one person did a different move to the other, they still made it look good because the move would complement the other one. And when they were in unison, they were in unison. And it wasn't just two solos. And I also feel like they used the space well. They travelled very nicely. But then they do the back handspring section too many times. I think for the dancers that they are, they definitely could have thought of something different. Even if they did back handsprings and then did front walkovers or something, just to spice it up. I feel like they just did that too many times. And I really do think it could have had a much harder hitting hip hop section. Like Winnie and Kingston's tutting section, Noah and Jackie could have done that, but even more, I think, because they're both proficient in hip hop or jazz funk or more down that range of style of dance. I just think it could have been harder from them. So first place, that means to Amy and Henry, and they definitely had great chemistry. I like the beginning bit where Henry touches Amy's nose and it's really cute. I think their energy was very consistent and their choreo was well fleshed out. I think you can also tell how comfortable they are with each other, so it was very enjoyable to watch. And I liked how if they did the same move, they'd do it in their own respective way, but it would still complement each other. So we then have Hurricane. So then we now have another list of duets from season 2. We have Giselle and Amanda, Emily and Hunter, Talia and West, Jai Lee. Oh, and that's it. Yeah. Oh, there were actually also performances done to this song on the show Taking the Next Step, which is where the guest English cast members come from, like Kyrese and oh my god, I always Harrison, who played Oliver in season 6. Kyrese played Cooper in season 4, so that's where they come from, that show. But because it wasn't them in character, it was Victoria and Isaac who did a duet. I'm not going to include it because it's also not canon, so it's not directly competing against these duets. It was just kind of a duet. But also, I'm going to say I don't think it was that good of a duet anyway. I think it was just two solos side by side.
Hurricane, burn out my weather vane. We thought we'd get away. That love was thicker than water.
So in bottom place, I have Emily and Hunter. I feel like Emily was a little bit repetitive in some of the moves that she did when she was just dancing solo. But I will say that Emily's face and her intensity was correct for the song. I think she danced really nicely. I'm going to say I was impressed by Emily's leaps and also the lift that she does with Hunter. I think they were very nice. And overall it was good. They had good chemistry and it wasn't a bad duet. It was nice. We then have Giselle and Amanda, and I'm not sure whether some parts were meant to be canon or not, but there's definitely parts that they're out of time, and it's not out of time to an extent where you can tell it's meant to be. So that confused me a little bit, and for me it looks messy. I do think though it was nice to see Amanda do a different style that was more acro-y, because we don't really see her do that a lot, and it was nice to see her pushed. I also think that they got the vibe right for the song. The beginning bit is my favourite with the tilt and the isolations in their shoulders. I also love the split section and all the floor work that they do, but it's just the timing issues for me, and I feel like everyone else had a bit more chemistry between them. Yeah, and when they were doing solos side by side, I don't think they complemented each other. It kind of felt like Amanda and Giselle just didn't really match together in terms of their dancing. We then have Talia and West, and I remember that when I first saw it, I really loved Talia's intensity, but when I watched it again for the sake of this ranking video, yes, the intensity is there. I think both West and Talia really go hard. I think their musicality was the best out of all the duets, like even including Jai Lee, who I've put at the top. I just think that they really matched the music the best, and they put that all into it. You could tell they really wanted to prove themselves. The reason it's second though is because I think they lack chemistry, and so the dance sometimes seemed empty even though they had a lot of energy in it. If they had had the chemistry, then I think it would have been top. So in first place we then have Jai Lee, and I love the part that goes from stage right to stage left, and it's like moving along nicely. I think it's stage right and stage left. Oh my gosh, if that's wrong then take my degree off me. I think the ending part where Riley's got her hand on James's chest and like he goes round or something and they go out, and then it flows nicely into Riley doing a little solo section that complements what James is doing on the floor. That's all good. I think that they really had a nice duet. They definitely have the most chemistry out of everybody that does the duet sections, and yeah, it was just really nice. I also really like the hip hop section and James's flip. Okay, we then have Right Here, Right Now, and this was done, and this is the order, by Piper, Finn and Amy in season 7, Ozzy as a solo, and then the alternates did a big group dance to it. So in third place we have Piper, Finn and Amy, because honestly when I saw the dance in the episode I was just like, okay, it's a dance. It didn't impress me, really. The extended version isn't yet out, so that might be miles better than what we actually saw in the episode. Like for example with Summer's Solo to Main Attraction, I much prefer the extended version than what they showed in the episode. But I do like the formation at the very beginning of it, and I like how it built up slowly. It was good. But the beginning section, I think Finn should have been behind Amy for the sake of height order, because Amy couldn't really be seen. And then when the girls do go out to the side and Finn pulls them back in, if they still wanted to do that, they could have just gone out either side and Finn pulls them across him rather than pulling them this way. I just feel like that formation would have looked more aesthetically pleasing. I also feel like Finn was a bit of a third wheel while Piper and Amy dance. Like, I think it's the bit where they do the illusion. Finn's just kind of standing there and waiting. Overall for season 7, I think Finn was underused, honestly. He was just kind of there to lift people and be an extra person in the routine. I think he deserved better. But the unison section, I really like it because it's bouncy and I think it fits the song very nicely. But overall, it's just not a memorable routine for me and it wasn't my favourite. Second place, we have Ozzy's solo that he does in season 5 that he was originally planning to do for Emily when he auditioned, but Emily didn't let hip hop dancers audition because Emily hates hip hop dancers in season 5 for some reason. So I really like that Ozzy's personality came through with this routine, and the musicality was really nice. I feel like he had nice facials and expressions. He used the space very well as well, but I do feel like at times the routine got a little bit unstructured and kind of seemed improvised, which I guess it might have been. But it kind of just lost it in places for me, but then it nicely picked it back up. So first place is the dance that the potential alternates did in order to not become the alternate, and I feel like it's a really good routine actually. I think Noah's choreography was really, really good. The musicality was good. And I also think everyone got an opportunity to show their best things. Like when Davis and Kenzie did the leaps to the corner, I also love the camera angle there. But I think that's like one of my favourite parts. I love the lifts that they do. I feel like Ozzy didn't really get to show his full ability. So maybe Noah could have choreographed something especially for him to do. But overall, I think the dance had really good movements in it. We then have Rivalry, which was done by Ozzy and Kingston when they have a dance battle in season 6, and James and Alfie in season 4.
If you want a rivalry, check yourself before you start a war.
So in second place I have James. No, I don't. I have Ozzy and Kingston. Overall, it's a little bit cringy for me at the beginning. Like, I cannot imagine in real life having an argument with somebody, like in my dance studio, and then running up to them, doing a leapfrog over their head and saying, you know what, we're going to do a dance battle. And then we suddenly know the same choreo that's in unison at times. And I don't know, it seemed a little bit too structured for me, considering the plot was meant to be that they were having a battle. I feel like it should have been more like, you do a move, you do a move, you do a move, you do a move. And we don't know any unison sections in it. It seemed too structured. But the initial jump over Kingston's shoulder is like a big oof moment. I do like it, and I think Ozzy impressed us all there. Oh no, my battery's flashing. That's great. But where did the music come from? That's one thing I would like to know. How did the music turn itself on when they were both in the middle of the room? I do think the intensity was there though, and it was correct for the song. Their facials were correct. It just felt a little bit cringy for me, and there's just too many sections where it's a little bit like, ugh. So first place, that means it's James and Alfie, and they're above Ozzy and Kingston for me because I just feel like they had the correct intensity and everything that they had, but better because it was meant to be structured, and Ozzy and Kingston's wasn't, and it was a little bit cringy for me. One thing that's always confused me though about James and Alfie's duet is whether or not like it's the correct emotion. So are they meant to be looking like they don't like each other? I know they are, but I don't know, it's always been in two minds for me, and I'm always like, do I like it or do I not? I feel like James just has like a blank expression where he just doesn't like Alfie, whereas Alfie kind of goes for it a little bit more to try and give the audience more appeal. The intensity was great though, and I feel like all the moves that they did were pretty cool. They do cool lifts and stuff. It just isn't my favourite because it feels a bit messy at times and just a bit like they're having a battle on stage, whereas it was meant to be a choreographed routine. Christopher, feeling like a boss, shine all night and we never get lost. That one. Which was done by James and Piper as a duet, but it was a deleted scene, but it is an extended dance, so I'm going to count it. And then the boys did their nationals rehearsal to the song, and they obviously did it at nationals. So in the third place, I have put Piper and James's duet because it was fun. It was nice to watch. They have great chemistry between them. That's the kind of chemistry I would have liked to see from Izzy and Ozzy, but I don't feel like we got it really. But it was recreational, and Piper attempted to do a lot of the moves that the boys do, but she can't really do them. So in the grand scheme of things, it isn't a great dance in comparison to the original, but it's in third place and it's a good dance. Second place, I then have the rehearsal of the nationals routine, and I wanted to include it because we do see like a full rehearsal, and there are things in it that I think are potentially better than they actually do on stage. So for example, the beginning bit I feel is cleaner in the rehearsal than it is on stage, and on stage it has a bit too much intensity. I would have preferred it to be as clean as it is in the rehearsal, but I do think that on stage, and the on-stage performances in first place, they have more energy than they do in the rehearsal, because obviously you get the adrenaline from being on stage, and overall their stage presence is just better and everything like that. So first place is the actual performance, second place is the rehearsal, and then we have James and Piper in third. So our final song that we have is Destructor, which is done by Noah in season 4 and B Troop in season 6. So second place, I actually have Noah's solo. I think for somebody with back injury, he did beautiful. The power and intensity that Noah has in this solo is immense, and I remember watching it and just thinking, those arm muscles, Amanda was not lying. We all related to Amanda, if you know what I mean. The solo itself was very technically precise, and the movement quality was great, and I feel like Noah gave his all to it. At times though, it did seem a little bit fragmented, so it kind of seemed like he prepped for a move, but instead of like fluidly going into it and stuff like that, and it just didn't really seem to smoothly transition overall for me. Whereas the season 6 B Troop routine, I do think had great transitions, especially when Winnie does, what does she do? I think I wrote it down. She does a backwards walkover, stands up, and then straight away there is the leapfrog over her head. I think that is such a fluid and smooth transition from move to move. It worked really nicely. I feel like all the formations in this dance was really good, and I also think that this dance suited the music better than Noah's solo did. I also like the characterization in the season 6 dance, and just the movements overall, like the choreography in the dance. I feel like B Troop executed it very well. We saw Winnie really go hard with those movements. It was nice to see her being a lead dancer of B Troop. Yeah, it's a very good dance. I think it's an underrated routine actually. So that was me ranking dances done to the same song on The Next Step. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and comment down below. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't subscribed already, because I've now hit 24,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Very, very thankful for you all. So come and join our little community if you've enjoyed this video. Bye!